Welcome back to The Den, where we talk everything personal finance, money, and real estate. Today I have my wife Rachel with me, and we're going to be talking about how to fast track your way out of debt by cutting corners. A little bit about us. 4 years ago, we were $25,000 in debt. Now, currently, we have 3 paid off cars and a paid off house. So we know a little bit about cutting corners to get out of debt.
Some people call us cheap. I say we're thrifty.
Yeah, people still call me cheap all the time. It doesn't bother me. It's fine. 'Cause I'm not cheap. I'm financially
Doesn't
responsible.
bother him as he talks about it.
So I thought it'd be good to have a back and forth with our kind of greatest hits on what we have felt has worked best for us in getting out of debt quickly. Because some would say that we were able to get out of debt and kind of get a hold of our finances rather quickly. It felt like a long time.
Yeah.
But looking back, it hasn't been that long. So for my top one, these aren't in any specific order, but for my first one, I'm going to start with a 40% rule. And this is actually from Grant Cardone. If you don't know who Grant Cardone is, go ahead and look him up. He's a big real estate guy. Essentially, what the 40% rule is that you save 40% of your income, and we call that your quote-unquote dream fund. That's what he calls it. And so what this does is if you, let's say, for example, you make $10,000 a month, your first line item in your budget is that 40%, your dream fund. So you put whatever your goal is in that fund, whether that's pay off debt, it's pay for my car, start an emergency fund, pay off my house, whatever that would be. It's paying yourself first. So out of a $10,000 a month budget, $4,000 a month goes towards that goal. So that means you have $6,000 left. So, take 40% out, 60% left is $6,000 for everything else, whether that be your rent, food, car payment, whatever else in your budget has to fit in that $6,000, that 60% left, because 40% is going towards your dream fund. And if you do the math on saving 40% of your income, it adds up very, very, very quickly. Even if the amount that you're able to save isn't, from a $10,000 a month salary, because that's getting up there. That's
a lot, and that's not most people. And we had a really meager. We did not make very much a month when we were first starting out, not much money at all. And so it wasn't a ton of money, but that 40% made a huge difference.
Okay, but even at $4,000 a month, that's $1,600 a month. Let's see, $4,000 a month, just doing some quick math, times 12 is $48,000 a year. So you're making under $50,000 a year, saving $1,600 a month, which would be $19,200.
Which is a ton of money. That could be a car. It could be a used car you paid off.
That could be a 6-month emergency fund plus other that's a lot of money. So that's why I think that that's the most powerful way to get ahead in your finances. And I would consider that to be cutting a corner, because you are doing everything in your power to, cut that 90-degree angle and go as straight as possible.
Yeah.
Straight as possible towards your goal. So I think the 40% rule is very, very powerful. And that probably I felt like this. You might not feel like this. I feel like that really propelled us and was the one single factor that pushed us to the next level when we decided to pay off the cars, save for emergency fund, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Rachel, what's a tip that you would have?
I would say, making home cooked meals or just cooking things at home is such a great way to save money. It's so easy to spend so much money going out to eat. Even if it's fast food, it's not necessarily inexpensive anymore. I remember recently we went to the mall with our kids and we bought lunch for all of us. And our kids didn't even get a kids meal at Burger King. They got they shared a chicken sandwich and fries. We have really little kids. It was just something special we were doing with them. And it was like $25.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
It was really expensive.
And we did not get our kids meals. And so I think that staying at home and eating is just such a big money saver. What I usually do for our family, in our family, I'm primarily the one that cooks. Obviously, every family's different. But I look into our freezer. I see what kind of meat do we have? And then what frozen vegetables, things like that. And then I go into our pantry and I'm like, okay, we have coconut milk, we have lentils. Okay, I can make curry one night. We have spaghetti sauce. Oh, we had beef in the freezer. That's a meal. And so I start meal prepping based on what we have and just trying to use up what we have and be good stewards of the things that we already have and not letting them expire before we eat them. And so I just like make a list based off of that. I really like Aldi. I feel like there's really good prices there personally. Not sponsored, but I'm an Aldi girl. And so I do the pickup. So I put all those groceries onto pickup, and then I tell Greg, hey, like log on to our app, add what you want. He likes to add lots of fun things to our grocery list. And then something else that I think saves us a lot of money is through Aldi pickup. It's like $1.99, but you do not walk through the store. So when I walk through the store, I'm like, oh, look at this. Like they have blankets. Ooh, that looks cozy. Or they have, I don't know, these turmeric healthy shots. We should take those. And so I end up spending like an extra $50. So with Aldi pickup, it cost me $1.99, but someone bags my groceries, which is great because I have 2 little ones and another one on the way. So I don't have to walk through the store. And also, they don't, it's for $1.99, I feel like I would have spent $50 more. And so I think that's just cooking meals at home and shopping from your own pantry first is really helpful. And then for us, like we try to go to the store less often. So if I know I have a little guy that's 2 that loves milk. And so I pick up a lot of milk when I go to the store because I know that I'm going to have to go back for milk if I don't. And then while I'm there, I'm going to spend an extra $30-$40. So I try to get, extra milk, or our family goes through a lot of eggs or whatever it is that you go through a lot of, like grab extra of that so that you're not constantly every 3 days, every week headed into the store.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that's a good tip and a good something easily applicable to a lot of people.
Saving money can be really practical things.
Yeah. So the next one I have would be, and again, these are all things that we do. So these are not like, some la tips that we don't ever do. Like we did the 40% rule. We do this right now. We do the Aldi thing. And so the next thing I'm going to say is sell things, sell everything, sell your cars. Cause that's what we did. After we started doing the 40% rule, and because our goal was to pay off the cars, we had a loan on my car and Rachel's car as well. I had a motorcycle that was paid off, and our goal was to pay off the cars, or pay off Rachel's car, and to have an emergency fund, a 6-month emergency fund. So right there, we had to pay off what was left of your car, which was roughly $10,000.
It's a lot.
And then we wanted to fund like roughly a $14,000, $15,000 emergency fund. So we had to essentially swing $25,000 as quick as possible, because that was our goal, was to do it. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it as quick as possible. We're not just going to do it and, it's going to take us 5 years to do it. So we decided to sell things, but we didn't sell small things. We didn't sell, I'm just going to sell this on Facebook Marketplace, which I think is great. If you want to sell couches, if you want to flip couches, if you want to sell your extra TV or whatever. Anything helps. Anything helps when you're getting out of debt. But what we did was I sold my motorcycle, and then I sold my 370Z. And then we used that money to pay off Rachel's car and then kickstart our emergency fund. And so I think that if that's the position that someone else is in, or if we were in that position again, I would sell everything again. I would sell the cars. I would sell what we had. If it depends. We're not in the position right now to where I feel like we would need to sell our house. But if the house is what's dragging you down, and you have a really extravagant house, it's okay to downgrade. Like it's okay to if you're going to move into a fixer-upper, make a lateral movement into a house in terms of size or neighborhood-wise. If you can pull cash out, if you've got equity in that, and you're able to build your net worth, and it'll help you reach your goals quicker.
Don't keep things that are dragging you down.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy. Just cut the rope. Like you don't have to fight your way out with these things. You can cut the rope that's dragging you down and be free from it so much quicker.
If you can't afford your house, sell your house, buy a cheaper house. And then if you want a nice house that's whatever that house was, you can have that again. But there's a season for everything. That's true. There's a season for everything. It's tough, because I sold my car. That was a cool car.
It was a cool car, and I do wish we had it back. But at the time, I'm like, okay, well, we don't need it. But right now, we're in a position to where, like, even though we don't need it, we could have it.
Yeah.
Which is a totally different season.
It's totally different.
We sold it 19, so 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different season now.
But for 4 years, it wasn't dragging us down.
Exactly.
We weren't making it work.
Exactly.
It didn't work.
It wasn't like, oh, I've got to make this
Like-
payment on the Z when we don't really need the extra car.
Because he was working from home and I was
Exactly.
a teacher.
Exactly. Because 8 months after that, we bought the truck.
Yeah. We bought a pickup truck
We bought the truck.
in cash.
In cash.
Yeah.
In cash. Because we sold everything and then we sold our house.
Yeah.
And we made a lateral movement house-wise, but it was a downgrade in terms of price and quality because the basement was flooded and it was gross. But yeah, so for me, 40% rule, sell everything, stop trying to bring the stuff along that's dragging you down. Rachel's got grocery store hack.
I have other hacks.
You have other hacks. It's
Yes.
great. You can tell there's a definite difference between us.
Yes, there is.
But Rachel, so what would your next hack be? And let's see, the fourth on our list of 6. We have 6. I would say our top 6 things as a couple. What's your number 4 for us?
I would say clothes is a big thing for us. Now, if you're really into clothes and you're into fashion, this would not be a tip for you at all. But if you're not, I think this is, just something really practical you can do.
Real quick, if you're into fashion, you could just look at it on Instagram.
That is true. But some people, it really, really matters to
I'm
them.
into cars and I sold my car.
Whatever.
It's just how it
Anyway.
is sometimes. You just got to do what you got to do.
True. As you're wearing your t-shirt, I have a pack right now, but looks nice, honey. Anyway, so for clothing, especially, not even just kids clothing, adult clothing too, there are ways to get clothes for really cheap, really affordable, or free. One way is there's a buy nothing, sell nothing group in most areas in the United States. It's through Facebook. It's buy nothing, sell nothing. So what it is in your community, so basically within like 20 minutes driving, all around you, like in your radius, you can post things that you do not want anymore, or other people post things that you don't want you can post things that you don't want, or other people post things they don't want. And then you can comment interested, and then whoever posted it gets to choose who they give the item to. So we have gotten so many kids shirts and pants, shoes. I've gotten maternity clothes.
This group has pretty much clothed our children for the most
Yes,
part.
it has clothed our children.
And we have up to 4. I think we're starting to run out at like 4 and 5.
Yeah, our daughter's
But-
a 4T, and so I comment on things for 5T, and then I have a bin in the basement that I save them in. But that has been a great way to get shoes, a great way to get clothes, from people in our community. And then we also meet people in our community. We make those connections. And a lot of times we end up giving back to those people just because I'm like, oh, Valerie down the street, she, gave me a bunch of boots for my kids for the winter. So then when she comments on something I've posted, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to give it to Valerie.
Well, it's also like building, you build your community because, once we're done with sets of clothes, we're not quite in that stage where we're done with sets of clothes yet, but people have been done with clothes or have been done having kids, or kids are older than ours,
Yeah.
and then pass on a large amount of things.
Yeah.
And then eventually when we're done with these things,
We can gift them back to our community.
which hopefully will be a huge blessing to somebody, because it was a huge blessing to us.
Yes, it was a huge blessing, and I think it will be a huge blessing to someone else. So that's one way. Another way is going in the summer, usually, not only in the winter, but you're going to have rummage sales. You can find them on Facebook or other places, garage sales, and just finding things. And if you have kids, buying things in bigger sizes, and just putting them aside. Also, you can buy clothes on Facebook Marketplace. I know there's lots of other websites that you can get things from. Another way is just if you have good friends, if you're good friends with somebody and you kind of have this relationship where you can be like, hey, if you ever want to sell your clothes to me, I would buy them from you, from your kid. You can just tell me what you think you would charge, and just, I have a friend who every time her kid's done with a size, her friend sells it to her for $20. She's like, for $20, you can have every season, every clothing item in size 3T. That's insane.
Imagine let's say somebody's hardcore trying to get out of debt, and
Yeah.
they're having, they have man and woman clothes, kids clothes, like all these line items in their budget. And, you know, they're buying Carhartt and Nike and like all these kids clothes that like look super cool. But imagine if they were just to replace that line item with, oh, I'm going to put $20 in there just in case I have to buy a pair of rain boots. We went to Walmart the other day and rain boots are $20 for a size.
They're $25.
$25
for a 2-year-old. Our 2-year-old, and it was $25 was the cheapest pair of boots they had.
But imagine that was that $25 was the only line item in their budget, as opposed to whatever you spent. I don't even know what we would spend on kids' clothes. All our clothes come from the free page. But I think that'd be a really a powerful tip to replace. I think that'd be a powerful corner to cut. We're talking about cutting corners in your budget.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good tip.
Instead of spending $25 to $100 on your kids' clothes a month, you know, finding it for free or a lot cheaper. And you know what? We ended up posting. So he needed rain boots and he needed winter boots. And we ended up posting on the free page, does anybody have a pair of size 8 winter boots? Because we needed those more than we needed the others. And someone like down the street was like, yeah, I have a pair, and gifted them to our son, and we paid nothing for them. And
he loves them. And
we sent her a picture of him wearing them. She was really excited to see them being used. Her child wasn't using them anymore. So it was just a really neat thing. So thrift store, rummage sales, buy nothing, sell nothing has saved our family so much money when it comes to clothes and shoes.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. All right, so now on to number 5. I didn't start out numbering these. I probably should have started out numbering these. We're just going. I have them numbered on our phone.
Paper.
On my paper. I don't know my paper. I just didn't like physically say it. So at number 5, I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be simple, and it's gonna sound stupid, and you're gonna be like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Just stay home. Don't go to the store. Listen, don't go to Home Depot. I get in these cycles where when we were flipping a house, I go to Home Depot all the time. I spend a lot of money. I don't leave Home Depot without spending $400 every single time I go to Home Depot. Maybe not every single time, but like a lot of the time.
It's on projects though.
Yeah, that's true. That's on projects. But like
that we're like a house we're flipping
but
or
now
rental or something.
We're not flipping one currently actively at this day.
We are not.
I'm not going to go to Home Depot because I'm going to be like, oh, there's this sale or whatever. And I'm
this tool.
Yeah, this tool. So like, okay, if I'm going to go, I go to the gym and then I come straight home. Like I don't go anywhere else. You know, because we'll go to this. This happened. This is an example. This is kind of a combo between Rachel's food thing and then me. I got to stay home. So we went to Costco. I say we, I mean I went to Costco because I was going to pick up. This was a money saving hack. I was going to pick up the Costco $10 pizzas and then put them in the freezer because you know they're good pizzas and it's something that I can heat up.
We're not sponsored by Costco, but I sure wish we were.
Oh man, if we're sponsored by Costco, that'd be so cool.
I would eat so much of their chicken.
Oh, I'd have so many clothes. The chicken is pretty good. But so I was picking up the Costco pizzas, and then while I was there, Rachel was like, "Oh, we need honey or something."
It wasn't honey. I buy that local.
Whatever, honey or something. What else? We bought coffee.
Probably milk for the baby.
No, we didn't buy. You didn't
he
send
always
me for
needs
milk. And then we got these ramen noodle things, and then I bought a $13 bag of cashews that are actually really good. But I ended up spending like
the $10 pizza was not $10.
Yeah, I wanted to get $30 worth of pizza, 3 $10 pizzas. I ended up spending like $160 at Costco, not including the pizza. I was like,
when we had things at home, honestly, like I mean, I love Costco, and if you're gonna meal prep and go there intentionally with that in mind, I think it's worth it. But you know, we probably had things at home. I'm sure we had some almonds and peanuts and like other things we could have
because
eaten.
Other people shop at Costco. We go to Costco as a novelty. Like as something fun to do. I look at the clothes. I'm like, ooh, let's see how much the totes are. But so for me, that's like going to like probably you go into Target where you're like looking through a little trinket area that there's never anything useful.
Because we don't have a membership. We go with another family member who does.
Yeah.
So we'll just go for fun with them.
So that's my example is just stay home. Because if you're going to find yourself in a store.
Window shopping.
It depends. You like got to be really hardcore and like I don't want to spend any money.
Yeah.
To go and look and be like, nah, I'm just gonna look. Or like for me, sometimes I can do that, and just because I'm just like not in the mood.
Just depends on your self control, maybe.
Like it depends. If I just pay the credit card bill, I'm not in the mood to spend money. No. Like we just bought Rachel a van yesterday.
Oh,
because it's a huge blessing because we've been blessed with enough kids to fill a van. I'm not interested in spending any money right now.
It was very shocking.
Because I'm still trying to recover from the check that I had to write.
Yeah.
Because it was the equivalent of what I'd write for a
we
down.
paid cash.
What equivalent
so
of
it
what
was
I'd
a lot.
like I write, I buying and flipping houses. I write some checks, but in my mind I'm like, oh, this is an investment. This is for business. I'm gonna get this money back when we sell in 3 months. I'm not getting that van money back. It is just gone.
The kids already covered it in mud.
Oh my gosh. So we're getting off a tangent.
Yes,
That's my 5th tip is just stay home. Play video. Oh, also, I'm gonna put this in there. This is another tip. This is like 5.1.
5.1.
This is like a second part to my tip of just stay home. If you look at, I know people are always talking about Netflix and video games. Like I know a lot of people like to rag on video games that they're expensive, or they're $60 or $100, whatever they are now. I don't know. I don't know video games. I play Fortnite, so it's free. But if you look at the dollar cost per hour of entertainment, it's super, super low. Because granted, I am a big believer, if you have time to watch Netflix and you have time with video games and you're in debt and you're poor, then you really probably should be working. But if you just need a break, Netflix is pretty cheap to just stay home and watch Netflix. Buy a video game. It's cheap to sit there and play. If you just need an hour, you can do that for an hour. You don't have to go to the movie theater and spend $20 or whatever it is nowadays. I don't know. I haven't been to the movie theater in 10 years probably, but
True.
That was good.
I like their popcorn though. Like I always feel like I'm like shoving things in my purse from Dollar Tree that I bought on the way there.
Popcorn's super expensive.
It's so good.
It's good. People are gonna be like, oh, and now that I'm saying these things, they're gonna be like, you're cheap. You just your goal is to stay home. That's cheap. It's not cheap.
Our kids are plenty entertaining, let me tell you. There's not a dull moment in this house.
Okay. All right, Rachel. So what is the 6th and final tip that you would suggest for cutting corners on your finances to get out of debt quicker?
Okay, so this is specifically for cutting corners. So I'm not talking about a season in your life of abundance where you're doing like large projects and maybe gifting to, some type of organization or person in your community after each project. This is specifically for cutting corners when you are in debt and when you are trying to pay off large amounts of debt. So for us, we had goals to pay off cars and to create an emergency fund and also pay off our house. So we had a really tight budget. And I remember the first year we got married, we did not have a lot of money for gifts. And I don't even think we got each other gifts that year at all because we couldn't afford to.
Every single time we talk about getting each other gifts, we always say we didn't get each other gifts that year. Have we ever gotten each other gifts?
We do get each other gifts, but that year we didn't.
Okay.
And so one way to cut corners is, gifting. A lot of us, that's our love language for people. And it's a way that we show people we care about them or that they're important to us or have made impacts in our life. So there's still definitely room for gifts and giving in cutting corners for your finances. So an example I think of is, let's say you have some elderly neighbors that you want to get something for Christmas. You could go to Walmart and get them each like a $10 gift. Let's say it's 5 neighbors, that's $50. Or you could look up a cookie recipe and you could have, if you could do it yourself, or if you have kids, you can involve your kids or your family, and you could make up like a large amount of like chocolate chip cookies. And then you could put them in Ziploc bags, maybe have your kids make a card and deliver them to each neighbor and say, Merry Christmas, make that connection and that point of intention. But it probably would have costed you like $10. And so you've saved like $40. And you might have already had a bunch of that stuff in your pantry. And so it might not even be something that you have to pay for. You already might have had chocolate chips and flour and things like that. Another thing that I think of is for gifting is like if you don't have a lot of time, but you want someone to know you thought of them. Let's say it's a friend or something and they're having a birthday. Something you could do is bake them a cake. You could go to the dollar store and buy them 4 or 5 items of their favorite snacks. You could offer your time. So like you can gift your time to people. So let me try and think of an example of gifting your time. Let's say you have a really good girlfriend and it's her birthday. So you show up, you say happy birthday.
If you have a bad girlfriend, don't do this. Don't gift her your time, apparently. Well, you only have to be a good girlfriend.
Ahead of time, you say to her, hey, on Monday, I have 2 hours in the morning. I could watch your kids for you. Why don't you just drop them off at my house and then you go take 2 hours to yourself for your birthday? That costed you nothing. It costed you your time, your energy, but that's a great way to show someone you care about them. And it didn't cost you anything, but you just gave someone, a mom 2 hours of your time, so they could do something they wanted to do.
Oh, you're talking about mom to mom, not
talking about
boyfriend, girlfriend. All right, sorry.
not boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm talking about
That was my mistake.
I'm thinking like if one of my mom friends, it was her birthday,
Yeah.
I might say, I'll take your kids for 2 hours. Go do whatever you want.
So your gifting technique, how does that apply to like Christmas or big holidays?
I think at first deciding what you have to spend. So I remember our first Christmas together, we had $100 total to spend between our families, extended family, each other. That was like all we had to spend. And some of that was actually gift cards that I had saved. So I had like a Target gift card from when we got married. I think I had a Walmart gift card. So like bringing gift cards into that. Also, side note, like if you get a gift card at a restaurant you don't like or you don't prefer or you don't have time to go to or whatever, you can always save those kinds of things as gifts. But what we did was we had like $100. And so what I did was I figured out, okay, I can't afford to buy every single person a gift at a store because I'm going to run out of money. And so what I did was like, what can I make? So I went on Pinterest. I know everybody has their own like interests. Maybe you want to make beeswax candles. Maybe you want to make homemade brownie, like a brownie mix that you like put in a jar or something, or a hot cocoa mix. Or for me, like I make homemade chapsticks. I make homemade lotion with like organic ingredients, homemade laundry detergent, all these different things that matter to me that are important to our family, things that we use. I often make in bulk and gift to people. So for Christmas, that year we made homemade gifts. I made homemade gifts for like all those people. And that saved us so much money. And I think in our culture, it's like this huge pressure that you have to spend, $25 to $50 a person. And if you don't, you're not a good friend or you're not a good sibling or whatever. And I think that's really unfair. I think that there's so much more to gifts than that. And if you're trying to get out of debt, you're trying to cut, we're talking about cutting corners, but like you're in a hole. You have a shovel. You are digging your way out of debt. You are not being able to afford your monthly finances, your house, your cars. Like you're in a hole.
I think what
then yeah.
So I know what you're saying. I think that it's going to get misconstrued with people listening because we're on the same page. If you have debt, if you have credit card debt, especially if you have credit card debt. But if you have car debt, you've got debt. I'm not going to go as far to say if your house isn't paid off. That that's a little different. We're going to kind of exclude that. That's I think in a different category. But especially if you have credit card debt, you are broke. You are so broke. And I think a lot of people have credit card debt and don't realize how broke you are. If you can't pay off your credit card every single month, you are dead broke.
Yeah.
You need to be on a budget and you need to get it together. You can kind of skate by having a car payment and a mortgage payment and some other things like that. But if you're in credit card debt, there is no excuse to not realize you are dead broke. So I know that when you said that, that's what you're thinking, but I know that that's not going to convey to somebody that doesn't, that's not, that's not your husband. Because I know that we're on the same page. So
we also have like a much more like extreme view of finances, I think, in some ways than other people. But yes.
It's because I'm cheap, apparently.
But yeah, I think, and even if, just set your budget. Maybe it's $100, maybe it's $200, maybe it's $1,000, whatever it is, stick to it and make, try to make some of your own things. If you have gift cards that you can re-gift, you can include that in there, or gift cards you can use to buy things, and make it work. And we did that Christmas. We got everybody a gift. We made handmade notes to go with them. I made a lot of lotions that year. I made a lot of chapsticks that year. And it felt really good. And I think overall, people really appreciated the time that was spent and the intentionality behind it all. And it was a great Christmas.
And I think those are good corners to cut, because those are holiday, you know, like specifically Christmas. We're filming this in January, so we've just had Christmas. That's why it's on my mind. But a lot of people will go and put it on a credit card or spend, you know, $1,000 or $2,000. I don't even know what normal people spend on Christmas, but let's just say it's $1,000. You know what you spend, versus we spend $100 or we spend $200. I feel like this year we spent a little bit more, but
we did spend a little bit more. This is the first year we really got our kids gifts. They're 2 and 4. Last year, we saved cardboard boxes from house flips, and we made them like a special village, and they woke up to like this magical village downstairs, and they loved it. They were 1 and 3, and they like spent their whole day like going through the village and playing in it, and it was so much fun. And this year we did buy them a couple things, but it was not substantial. And for each other, we bought each other stocking stuffers from the Dollar Tree and made it a date. And we got we hid from each other at Dollar Tree and spent $5 on each other, or whatever, 5 items, $1.25 now. And it was a really fun date.
If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and give us a thumbs up. If you're listening to any of the podcast platforms like Spotify or iTunes, make sure to give us a 5-star rating. And if you want to, go ahead and head over to Instagram and shoot me a DM if this was helpful. And we'll talk about finances. I love talking about personal finances. Obviously, we have a personal finance podcast. I love just chatting about it and figuring out ways that people don't spend money. I love not spending money. But anyways, Rachel, thanks for coming and joining us. It was a pleasure having you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Why you gotta say it like that?
It's a pleasure having you.
I say joining us again. You've been on here every single episode.